Hey, FlimsyLunchTray here, and welcome back to World of Warships in our new player guide series. As today we're going to be looking at the operation, the Ultimate Frontier, and I'm going to be showing you the cruiser run, being from the southeast spawn where you start off in I-10 roughly. So, this operation, the briefing is, with the battlefront getting closer and closer and amid persistent airstrikes on Rowan Atoll, the project pursued by Japanese scientists and engineers is threatened. To avoid a catastrophe, a group of transport aircraft is sent to Rowan with a mission to evacuate all personnel and documentation. All warships must provide protection for the aircraft and the aerodrome until the evacuation is finished. Goal: protect a group of transport aircraft arriving at the base. Defend the aerodrome until embarkation is finished and the aircraft leave the base. The participation conditions is you either need to create a division or the minimum number of participants is 4, or it can be by luck you get this through a random operation, which you can participate in without a division. And the team lineup is either you can take tier 6 through tier 8 ships for this operation. So if you look at the map, on the right side of the screen, you can see where most of your team is going to spawn in that I-10. You're going to have a battleship, 2 battleships spawn in the aerodrome. One might be like D5, one might be inside. You're going to have an AOBA spawn east of the aerodrome. And then you have your aircraft. You can see your allied aircraft are coming in from 3 different directions. So you need to make sure that any of the enemy cruisers that spawn on the A or 10 line, that they get destroyed before your allied aircraft arrive. And then you can see the enemy push. It essentially comes from, well, actually 4 directions, because later there is going to be a push happening from roughly D10. So I am divvied up with 2 of my clanmates, as this was an operation that appeared by doing the random operation choice. So we're going to be here, and basically most of us are in H10, maybe one's in I-10. But as we get started off here, I'm going to let the AI do some talking.
This is the base commander. We expect the arrival of transport and attack squadrons. Strike aircraft will ensure support during the embarkation and evacuation of transport aircraft. Warship commanders, clear the most direct route for the aircraft in the specified sectors.
Yes. So I'm sure he'll come back to talk again later. So if I suddenly cut off, it's because I want you all to be able to hear these specific commands. So kind of the first goal is us running up this 9-10 line. We're going to get detected. There's going to be 2 destroyers that spawn off to our left. If you spawn in this area of the map. I have another video about being a battleship coming from C5. So we have this Nicholas. There's going to be another destroyer. Note that when you begin to do X amount of damage to them, they will automatically begin to smoke up. So the other one might be concealed briefly by the smoke screen. Our Benson is being way too aggressive here, so don't do that. Just run with the group north. So then we have a Mahan. So I'm slowing down here purposely, as the Mahan also cuts his throttle, the bot. To be able to shoot the Mahan before I have to go behind the island is kind of the goal. You do have to be mindful of torpedoes, so you can see there's torpedoes coming through the smoke screen, probably fired maybe at the Benson when he was taking on the Nicholas in the first engagement. And then you're going to have, after these destroyers, you're going to have some battleships and a cruiser spawn in the background. One of the things that is nice if you are a radar cruiser on this match, this operation, is when the smoke screen covers up all those destroyers, you simply press your radar and you'll be able to spot them and finish them off. Now if you notice up to the north in the midst of this, we already have an enemy Omaha that looks like he spawned out of A9. We have a bot AOBA leaving the aerodrome to go engage the Omaha, and then we have looks like a Rook in Massachusetts who's a little bit slow to move or spawn in, as it were. So we're going to keep our eye on the positions on the map where the plane aircraft reinforcements come from. So again, already you can see there's another one emerging from the DE line. It is a Dallas, if I'm not mistaken. Yes, it's a Dallas coming into view. And so he's very close to our Xian Yang. So he's a threat that also needs to be dealt with. Now, ideally, in this position, you can see what your team is doing. So like we're kind of just communicating. The Xian Yang looked like he was just ready, waiting there to use his torpedoes on the Dallas when he spawned. The bot Aoba has finished off the Omaha, so we've neutralized the threat up there. And then, in this type of situation, my goal is I'm just throwing a lot of HE at these 3 battleships that push in. So we have a New Mexico, a New York, a Wyoming, and then you have a cruiser farther off in the background coming in as well. And then you can also see on the 6th line, we have some destroyers, well right now it's just a Clemson, who's pushing up towards the Massachusetts. So that is something that also spawns in, you have to take an account for. One of the reasons why when doing cruisers on Ultimate Frontier, it's nice having that HE DPM. We have decent fire chance starting a fire in D7 Provincia, on top of having the aircraft or HE airstrike as well with this Dutch cruiser. And so it's really good. You can even see Sergeant in the Brandenburg. He's getting a little bit closer to utilize the secondary. So if you like running battleships on this op, you kind of work that left line a little bit more to be able to get within secondary range of enemy ships. Now, the one thing you do not want to do is you do not want to push out, let's say, the GH line out the gap where we already lost, was it the Benson earlier? You don't want to push out that way. You want to stay behind that island that's on the 8-9 line. And just as Sergeant's doing as he comes up to the left, you also want to be able to stay behind this island. You don't want to push out in the open because they'll start focusing you very quickly. Now, if you note on a 9-8 line, we have a Lana who has spawned in, and he's also going to need to be dealt with. So we still have our bot Aoba is still alive. Sometimes your bot Aoba may already be dead at this point. And so he is a threat that needs to be neutralized before aircraft arrive. Now we also have this Clemson who got past the Massachusetts. So we are trying to finish him off because we do not want him to get into the aerodome. So no, if you don't kill the Clemson earlier, he's going to get pretty far north up, just like that. So I've turned my attention to the Atlanta. We finished off the battleships to the south as well as the Indianapolis. I believe Doom's telling me that he has the Atlanta, so I can just focus on these Omahas and the Phoenix that's spawned in. So we're going to turn our attention to that. When you are firing more at these longer ranges, you have to lead just a bit more. But when you get some salvos that land on the Omaha or Phoenix with this HE, it does decent damage. I mean, that's 2,000 there. Even if you're in a battleship, just like that, I think Sergeant got a Citadel on that Omaha, so you can Citadel them quite easily even if they're about on, because these 2 cruisers in particular here are pretty much just made of Citadels. So there goes the Phoenix. Now, I'd say our Massachusetts is going to be in a little bit of an aggressive position here because there's going to be more ships, as you see here, spawning from the south. So now it's a Marblehead and a Omaha that are pushing up. Doom has finished off the Atlanta, so we've neutralized the threat to the north, which is great. Also, something I haven't discussed yet is when we're looking at the primary task and secondary task, it looks like one of them are covered, but we want to keep... I can't quite read it because the HP bar is in the way, but I'll start from the top. So escort at least 8 transport aircraft to the aerodome, and you get a lot of transport aircraft, so that's like our primary task. So you can see we've secured that well. We already have planes that have spawned the EF. There's planes spawning from the DE, and then shortly we're going to have planes spawning up from the 8-9 line where the Aoba is, or I guess 9-10 line is to be more accurate. So they're all going to fly towards the base now. So we've done a good job. We've neutralized the threats on the A line. We've neutralized threats on the 10 line. So that primary task is about to be achieved here. Now, we also, if you notice, the secondary tasks save at least 45 planes from the aircraft reinforcements. So right now we have 50. So it's quite nice if you're able to save a lot of the aircraft. And then the other one, I believe, is regard to the forts. I believe it's at least save at least 3 forts, and right now it's saying there's 4 forts. There's one, well, I guess 2 on guarding each of the 2 entrances into the aerodome. So I'm trying to see if I can actually see planes here. If you notice, I was sitting in that repair circle. I went ahead and wanted to heal up a bit more. So you can take advantage of that if you're low health here when playing this operation. Now, my goal now is I want to move over into D4 roughly. There's going to be an enemy aircraft or enemy CV that spawns into the match, and he will send dive bombers up to attack the aerodome. So my goal is getting over here to D4 is to knock those planes out of the sky before they attack the aerodome. Because as long as the Ranger, it's an enemy Ranger bot, as long as he's alive, he will keep sending dive bombers attacking the aerodome. So it is important that you kill him. And so Massachusetts looks like he's going to the hill.
Transport aircraft have arrived. Proceed to evacuation. Protect the aerodrome until embarkation is finished and the transport aircraft leave base raw. Provide gunfire support for attack aircraft.
Yes, so now we have Allied attack aircraft moving to the south. And here you can see Raptor, the Ranger Tier 6 planes coming in. And I'm just sitting over here just waiting for him to come up so I can shoot down all of his planes. Because one of our goals is to protect the aerodome.
Aircraft carrier was spotted in the combat area. Destroy her.
Yep, so now you see the Ranger has been detected. So it's important that we kill a Ranger as soon as we are able to safely and appropriately.
Engine boost activated.
And my health bar is still blocking out another secondary task that has appeared. Attacked by aerodome squadrons within the allotted time 0 of 2. So we're going to see how that goes here in a bit. You can see the other secondary task that has appeared is just to destroy the aircraft carrier Raptor. So when you are in this position, when you are up here at D4 or C4 as I'm currently in, I didn't quite have to go that far north to deal with the planes. The goal is now I'm going to move over towards the left, and we're going to have all these ships pushing up almost towards just to the left of these islands. And being a cruiser, ideally you always hold more of the power if you are the one kiting away from the enemy, whether that be a bot or even players that you're playing against here. You also see there's a lot of destroyers to the south as well. Doom has taken a fancy that he's going to finish off Raptor as soon as possible. He also has another allied ship down there with him, which looks like it's the Yin Yang. Can't quite tell. So here you can see we have a Pensacola, and an Omaha in this group. The Omaha to the right that I'm not targeting he is one of the enemy ships that needs to be killed within the allotted time. So I make a mistake here initially that I should be focusing on Omaha. I'm just focusing on the Pensacola's at the moment. So my attention does need to be on that Omaha, so don't make the same mistake I do here. It's kind of in the heat of the battle with all these ships that are beginning to spawn. It's such a target-rich environment that you just want to be shooting basically whatever is the closest. But you need to be mindful of what your secondary tasks are, because some of them are going to be.
Do not allow them to capture the repair base. Aircraft carrier Raptor destroyed.
Yep, so we're taking out Raptor. But you want to be mindful of the time allotted. So now we're focusing on Omaha here. And so we're going to use our airstrikes as the engine on the Pensacola is busted. So you can see we have that nice little timer I'm paying attention to this destroyer division that is moving up the 5 line, call sign whiskey, because we want to destroy them before they get up to the repair base. So it's important that you do kill them. I've seen some players just not pay attention much to these destroyers and shoot the larger health target ships in the background. So probably would have been nice here is if I would have focused on the Omaha a little bit longer. But we did destroy the designated targets, both Raptor and Omaha, so that's good. So Sergeant was able to do that as a focus on the 3 destroyers pushing up here. So repair base is safe and secure, and so now we're going to finish off this low health Pensacola over here. The nice thing about the D7 Provincia is that it has 360-degree turning guns, so that's really nice when you're constantly having to shift your focus on what ships you're targeting here in operations, since they're kind of spawning all over the place here. Now, shortly, we're going to have enemies spawning over on the 10 line, so that we are going to have to deal with them when the time comes. So just be mindful of that as we're going to be keeping an eye on that. Now you can see the Cleveland, who is briefly using his radar for a brief bit before he was killed by the Massachusetts. So know that you may not just be entirely safe if you are simply sitting in a smoke screen trying to farm damage and you have radar accessible cruisers that will target you.
The ship is on fire.
So you can actually see this Massachusetts, unfortunately, is blocking me as I'm kind of wanting to kite a little bit more. I want to deal with the enemy ships that are going to be pushing in on 10 line, which you can see from the long list of enemy ships on the right hand of my screen. Oh, got like a double kill there. That they are soon to be spawning, so that's kind of a heads up, and it tells you what ships are coming next. And if you're wondering how I have this mod, it's from the World of Warships official ModStation. You can find the video where I show you which mods I have in the link in the description below. So we have a Missouri, we have a Cleveland, we have a Wichita, and it looks like we have 2 destroyers, both a Benson and a Farragut, that we need to deal with. So I'm moving in that general direction to engage them. You can see we've already lost 4 ships. Our C and Yang is super low. So we're going to have to be, he's going to have to be mindful in this engagement. But kind of one of my goals here when I'm playing these light cruisers is finishing off a lot of these HE spamming bot ships. As I think I took a torp there from the Oba. To help the battleships out so they're just not being peppered and constantly set on fire. So we're going to move up to the north here. So we have the Missouri, the Cleveland, Wichita, Benson, and Farragut. And I can't ping the map just to draw attention that this is a threat we need to deal with. Because at this point, it's essentially just myself, the Massachusetts, and the C and Yang. But of course, we do have this Aoba over here. But C and Yang is going to be out of the fight for quite a bit here. So my goal is to get a fire started on the Missouri. Is we want to, I want to be able to start peppering the Benson, the Farragut, so on and so forth. But I really would like to get a fire started. And when you set a fire on these bots, they're going to instantly DCP. So note that I'm just trying to get him to trigger the DCP so then I can then set permafires. So we're taking a lot of HE spam there. We got a little bit out in front of the Aoba. So now the Aoba moves up and the bots shift their focus to the Aoba. So know that you can use that to your advantage. If your Aoba is still alive, they will focus on whatever ship is closest to them. But you can see the ships are beginning to change their focus fire to the base, to the forts. So that is definitely a big no-no, and we don't want them to keep being able to have shooting that, especially if the destroyers just keep doing that HE spam. So we're trying to utilize our HE airstrike. Moving away, you can see the Missouri's using his radar, so just be mindful of that. If you're just like, I'm gonna get super close and torpedo, Missouri can just simply use his radar and spot you. And then if you're very close to them, it's likely that they're going to be focusing you here. So I'm trying to kill the Farragut because he's laying this long smoke, and I want them to be as visible for as long as possible. I also want to get rid of that annoying HE spam of them constantly setting us on fire here. So we're going to keep reversing. We're going to kind of angle a bit more to let those torps just pass us here. Now, some ships, when you get this close, because these ships are broadside to us, and I'm meaning if you're in a cruiser, you can switch to armor piercing and see what type of damage you're going to be able to get. Sometimes it might not be big numbers, just because the AP penetration might require you to be even a closer distance. But we're trying it out here. This Wichita is also burning simultaneously. But I don't feel like we're getting the best AP salvos. So I switch back to the HE because we want to be able to set this Missouri on fire. You can see we only have 3 forts remaining. They have destroyed one of the forts on the BC 6 line. So it's important that we really focus our fire here and trying to finish off this Missouri so he doesn't shoot any other aspects of the aerodome. And there's a timer, and we've successfully defended the aerodome with time completed. So we've completed the primary task. We've saved at least 3 forts, and that is going to bring this operation to a successful close. So all objectives were completed. You can see the payout was really good here in this match. So that's going to be 270,000 damage with a lot of target hits, 10 destroyed, 21 set on fires, a lot of incapacitations, and some aircraft shot down. So you can set a lot of fires here with the D7 Provincia. And we're going to get an even 2,000 base XP and topping team. Even though the Massachusetts spawned in a bit late, he was very helpful throughout the mid and end of the battle. Then we'll go ahead and look at detailed report. Note when you're doing these operations with so many ships that spawn, you're going to have a lot of different ships that you have caused damage to. As you can see, as we scroll through here, definitely a lot of different ships that we attacked and did damage to over the course of the battle. It's also really nice for D7 Provincia. Having a heal in operations is really, really helpful. So 1.4 million credits with premium count all said and done, just so that you can see what it looks like. So this is the, I would just call it the cruiser run on the Ultimate Frontier here in operations. So I really hope you've helped, this video has helped you to understand this operation a little bit more. I'll probably do another Ultimate Frontier video next week. We'll discuss that battleship, North Spawn, and the Aerodome, and then how I like to approach my playstyle there. As I've tested some things out, I've learned some things, and so I'll have a video on that next week is the goal. So if you liked today's video, give it a thumbs up. If you did not, give it a thumbs down. Subscribe if you do want to see more. If you have subscribed, thanks so much. I really appreciate it, and we will catch you next time. Take care.